Every change comes with a lot of resistance. People don't jump up, and when change is introduced and embraces, a lot of people will give concerted resistance. And this has been typical, especially in this country when BBI was being introduced. When SGR came, people opposed it. When the late president introduced, that is Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, when he announced the candidature of the fourth president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, there was a lot of resistance. Every change is met with resistance. This is Marketplace Media, an online platform that engages, equips, and encourages believers to say inawezekana. If this is your first time being here, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that every time when you upload a new video, YouTube will be able to notify you. We are continuing with studying change, and now a change agent is able to introduce change effectively. A lot of us find it very difficult when we face resistance. In this lesson, we are going to discuss ways, 5 major resistance that we face and how we can be able to deal with them effectively. Now, again, if time would allow, we are also going to ask ourselves, how can we be able to manage those resistance? Because we need to say it here right now, that resistance is inevitable. Just as change is inevitable, so is resistance. And we can define resistance as that reluctance, to embrace change once it is presented unto us. And it doesn't matter how well you present the change, the truth of the matter is people would actually resist the change. And we shall be able to share some of the resistances that people give and how to handle them. We need to understand that resistance can be mild, or it can be even public. It can be a public outlaw. You remember how Kenyans reacted to the Finance Bill 2024. They all went to the streets, and cried. Some actually went to the streets. Some actually went to the Twitter, to the social media. And you know what happened? This is an example of how people respond to change. So it can be mild, it can be a public outrage, it can be even dangerous, it can be fatal. Sometimes we are excited by the change, but other times we are actually angered by the change. For those that are excited by the change, they buy it, they go for it. For those who are against the change, they take to the streets, and the leader faces stiff opposition. Resistance comes whether you're a politician, whether you're a priest, whether you're a businessman. It doesn't matter who you are. You're a father in the home, a mother is a home, a school teacher. As long as you introduce change, you expect people either to embrace it or to reject it. And we've already said it. In this country, BBI faced the political BB of the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, actually faced a lot of numerous opposition, both from the courtroom and in the public rallies, political rallies. Most businesses and churches, as we talk today, are actually recovering from the changes that were introduced by COVID-19. And for most of us, we actually long for that day when we shall be able to go to the normal days. The bad news is we cannot be able to go back to those normal days. Our lives, our modus operandi have been changed drastically by what we call COVID-19. So we ask the question, what are those major resistances that leaders face? It is very important for you to be able to take note of these changes, of these resistances, so that once you know them, you can be able to understand how they manifest themselves. And even again, you are able to know how to navigate through them once they show up. The first one, and this list does not necessarily follow any order of importance. The first one is mistrust and lack of confidence. Those are two: mistrust. When people don't have trust for the leader, when the leader is suffering from what we call trust deficiency, they look at the leader with eyes of suspicion. Maybe they're looking at the change, they're saying, this change is about to ruin our lives, this change is about to mess our lives. When they have mistrust with the proposed change or when they have mistrust with the leader himself, then of course you don't expect them to embrace the change. It can be a very huge barrier when they have mistrust both on the agenda or on the proposed change, or when they have trust issues with the leader. And the lack of mistrust actually is a major cause of resistance. Is a major cause of why many changes have not been introduced. If you look around why finance bill actually was given, part of it is because people did not have trust with the government. When they looked at the whole issue of the motive behind the finance bill, it was questionable. They felt this is suspicious. This is out to terrorize us. This is out to oppress us. This is why they went to the street, because they questioned the motive, the intent of the proposed finance bill. And so when the people question that they have trust issues, when they develop mistrust with the proposed changes, basically they will go to the streets, they will oppose it. The next issue, number 2, is the whole question of confidence. As a leader, you need to pray confidently. You need to be sure, and you need to put it on your face that you actually are sure of what you're talking about. If you don't portray and you don't pray confidence, you talk you are stammering. Your language does not pray confidence. And this is something that the sitting president, William Ruto, is good at. He is able to present his agenda with a lot of confidence. When you lack it, then agenda will not go through. People will overlook it. People will not take it seriously. People will dismiss it. People will say, forget about it. You see, and people will actually say, I don't get it. I don't like it, and I don't like you. And so it is very important for you that as you present the change, that you present it with charisma, with knowledge, with mastery. You must pray confidence. Your tone must communicate confidence. When questions are answered, you must answer them with clarity. You must look at the people on the face and tell them with a lot of boldness and courage. Otherwise, if you don't do that, when people see that you are not comfortable, you're not courageous, you're not confident, you're not sure of what you're talking about, basically they will resist change. So major resistances, we've said mistrust. Number 2 is lack of confidence, and so it is very important. Number 3 is emotional responses. Emotional responses has to do with people brushing it off, people saying, we don't need this kind of change, and it is very, very important to understand the emotional responses that accompany changes. Let's share a table here that will be able to share those emotional changes. Now, once the change is introduced, it begins with the denial. People don't believe in it. People say, this we don't want this. And as the change has been, when the leader continues, then there is anger. People are angry. Why are you changing the status quo? Why do you want us to leave? Or why do you want to introduce this? Why do you want to increase tax? Then after anger, once if the leader continues, then there is the third emotional response, which is bargaining. People say, okay, now it looks like this change is here to stay. So why don't you delete this and amend this? Why don't you edit this? Why don't you do this? So there is a whole issue of bargaining, And this is what you see even in salary negotiation. This is what happens. The teachers would say, maybe let's pick the teachers, for example. They would say, these are our proposed salaries. The government would say, no way, that is denial. And then they would be angry. They say, don't go, if you don't report to work, we are firing you. That is anger. But then when they see the teachers are serious, they would go into a level of bargaining. Now, we are not going to give you the 10,000 you are asking. Can we settle for 5,000? Then the teachers would say, no, 5,000 is too little. So they would settle. But again, if the bargaining does not go through, then there will be a state of depression. Bargaining, remember, it doesn't give you what you really are asking for. What bargaining does is that it actually gives you less of what you expect, and so that actually ushers a emotional response of depression. People are not happy. There's lethargy in some companies. They can be high turnover where people just leave the company. In sales, then sales are low, profits are low, there is low motivation, there is no enthusiasm. But again, when the changes are implemented well, then there is a high level of acceptance. But if you look at this curve, one of the things that you're going to realize that the level of denial and the level of acceptance are not at the same level. Denial is at a higher level, acceptance is at a higher level. And these are the 4 emotional responses that Kubler-Ross introduced or believes in. Okay, so those are 4 major responses that every change goes through. Then number 4, there is what we call fear of failure. Fear of failure. Every change comes with a lot of resistance and a lot of uncertainty. We don't know whether this is going to work. We don't know whether key people, the key influencers will buy into it. Assume or imagine for a second that a company wants to introduce a new product. Much as they may have done their own due diligence and carried out market surveys to ascertain the level of acceptance of their new product, there is still that fear of failure. What if a new product comes? What if economic status of these people goes down? What if a new product comes to the market which is far much better than ours? And so the whole issue of fear of failure, when it is settles, then it helps people it makes people to reject the change. They respond with saying, we are not going into this. If a change threatens to expose somebody's shortcomings, for example, in a company, you say you're going to do financial audit, or you're going to do audit of the books, and then most of the secretaries or most of the auditors or most of the accountants know that their work is sloppy, it is average, it's below standard. One of the things that you're going to note is that people are going to resist change. And it is very, very important that as you address change, you need to deal with the fear of failure. You need to supply a lot of knowledge. People need to know what is going to happen, and so it is very important for you to take people for training. Let the people understand what is it that it's for them. Let them know what will work, what will not work. Let them know why you need to introduce this change, and what are the perceived benefits that are going to come into them. Remember, every time when you package the change in the name of the leader, that change will be rejected. But every time when you package the change in the view of this is what you're about to get, once as long as you reject this change, this is what you are losing. When you supply that knowledge, then the buy-in power will go higher. And again, as we said, it is very important for you to deal with the fear of failure by praying confident. You need to demonstrate a lot of confidence, and for you to be able to do this, there is a diagram that is called ADKAR, and it looks like this. You can use this when you want to deal with the fear of failure. Number 1, begin with awareness. Let the people be aware. Let them be fully informed. Inform them of what, why, when, how, and what. That is all awareness. You need to tell them why you need to do this change. What is going to happen? How will it happen? When will it happen? How will it affect them? That awareness kind of bit is very, very important. You can use pictorial. You can call key influencers to come into this. You can do a documentary, on the challenges, and then propose the change. You can call meetings. You can you can call key influencers within the organization and just encourage the buy-in. You can even actually use them. You can use case studies just to make people that are aware. People need to be aware. Number 2 is the desire. You need to create that desire, and it must also be new that you need to support this change. Remember, If the awareness level is not very good, then the desire for change will not come in. And so it is very important for you to create the desire, and people feel, wow, we need to change. People feel, yes, it is too bad that we don't have this change. If it's about a policy, people need to feel, well, this looks like a very good policy, so the desire to change. Then the knowledge, we've already said it, on how to change. Once you have informed people of what and why and how, now develop more specifically on how to change. This is very key. This is very important. People need to understand how they are going to change. Will they change their talk? Will they change what? They need to understand the whole chemistry on how they are going to change. Okay, will it have a change in salaries? Will it have a change in their in their office outlook? What specific modus operandi will change? Maybe there are steps on that. You start with this, you go to this, you go to that one. They need to understand that the modus operandi will change. That is very important. And we believe why there is a lot of resistance to change is people don't understand how they will change. And the whole concept of how to change needs to be simple. It needs to be simple. You need to explain it like like you're talking to a 5-year-old. Because when it is complicated and full of jargon, and when the shift is too much, people will actually resist that change. Okay, so we are talking about awareness, desire, knowledge, then the ability. You need to have that ability to demonstrate the skills and the behavior of the desired change. So, and this is why we encourage pilot testing. Do a pilot. Test it with a certain group. Let them come and showcase. Let them see it. Let them see that this is possible. And then finally, you need to enforce it. Now it becomes a policy. If you don't switch over, then it's going to be, you're going to find yourself in trouble. You remember when the late President Mwai Kibaki was actually introducing the analog to digital kind of thing. There was a lot of piloting, a lot of awareness, the knowledge on how to do it. And actually even today, Kenya Power are actually doing it with the introduction of the token, with the new switch. They are even showing us, then it's going to be reinforced. That's why they're saying, if you don't make this update by within this date, then this is going to happen. This is very important so that you are able to reduce what we are calling the fear of failure. Now, number 5, which is very, very important, is what we call poor communication. Poor communication actually accounts for 80% of organizational problems. It is worth repeating here again that no change can occur when communication fails. And this means that you need to talk with the people, not talking at the people. A lot of leaders, even within military praise, what they do is they talk at people. When you talk at people, then they feel that you're pushing the change onto them, and much as they may say, yes sir, we can promise you that change will only last as long as you are there. So it is very important that you talk with the people, and as you talk with the people, it's very important for you to answer these questions. Question number 1, there are 2. What is it for me? In your communication, let the people hear, what is it for me? Now that you're introducing this change, now that you want to change the mode of payment, now that you want to change this policy, now that you're switching from this to this, what is it for me? What is it that I'm going to benefit? We need to realize that people are basically selfish. And when they see there's nothing that is in for them, they will actually fight that change. That's why you see our MPs will actually go 100%, they will attend 100% session when it has to do with their own salaries, because it has to do with them. They will go for that. And then very important question, you also need to repackage within your communication to answer the question, what does it mean to me? Okay, and when you answer the question, what is it in for me and what does it mean for me, in other words, they want to understand, they want to you need to make the message very simple, very clear. Avoid jargon, avoid complicated language. Make it very simple for them to understand. Then the buy-in power will go for them. And then maybe we can give a bonus a major resistance, which is unrealistic timelines. Okay, so that this is bonus. No, unrealistic timelines change needs to be introduced slowly. You know, it needs to be implemented in phases. When you hurry it, you know, when it is too hurried, it's going to be confused. People are not going to take it. People will reject it. People will go to the street. You know, wisdom demands that you don't force change too quickly. Don't push too hard for change to happen. Take time. Continue pampering people, giving people information. Have an implementation plan, beginning with awareness, you know, desire for change, you know, reinforcement. Have that kind of timeline. Give people time to adjust. Give people to ask questions. Give people time to go to the streets. Give people time to question you, you know, and that is very, very important for you to be able to do. So we are saying for you to be able to counter those changes, number one, you need to educate them. Please give them information. Let them know what is going on, why you are doing it, how you are doing it, when you're going to doing it, how it is affecting them. You know, they need to understand. And again, also very important, gather yourself along the people we call key influencers. Now, key influencers are people, we call them opinion shapers, you know, and once they speak, once a key influencer endorses the brand, then you're good to go. And then it is also prudent for you to involve your employees. Let them be part and parcel of the implementation plan. Let them ask their feedback. Make them part and parcel of the change. And then we are saying once you involve them in the change, then you can be assured that that change will take through. We want to thank Freshworld Computers, the official sponsors of this particular broadcast. If you are looking for a computer, a desktop, live streaming gadgets, you know, CCTV installation, you know, computer repair and a device, you know, please talk to Freshworld Computers on 0722 399 091. Freshworld Computers, we've got you. And that marks the end of our discussion today on 5 major resistance to change. Please consider giving this video thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, and we thank you for watching. This is Marketplace Media, an online platform that engages, equips, and encourages believers to say inawezekana.